You might have noticed something interesting happening lately. Some of the richest people on the planet are packing up and heading out. And it seems like they all have the same destination in mind: Florida. So let's get into it. What's really behind this modern-day gold rush to the Sunshine State?
I mean, this is a huge economic shift we're watching in real time. And it really makes you wonder, right? What is pulling these titans of industry and finance to this one specific state? And I'll give you a hint. It's not just about the sunshine and sandy beaches. This is a very, very calculated move. And at the front of this pack, you've got some heavy hitters. We're talking about Jeff Bezos, the guy who started Amazon, and Ken Griffin, the founder of the massive hedge fund Citadel. We're going to use these two as our case studies to really unpack what's going on.
All right, let's not beat around the bush. Let's get right to the number one reason, the one you're probably already thinking of. The biggest, most powerful driver for this move? Well, it all comes down to cold, hard cash. Okay, let's start with Bezos. So he used to live in Washington state, and recently Washington rolled out a 7% tax on capital gains. Now you hop over to Florida, and what's that same tax rate? A big, fat zero. Florida has no state income tax, and this is the really important part for investors, zero capital gains tax. So what does that 7% difference actually mean for a guy like Jeff Bezos? Well, estimates put his annual tax savings at an absolutely staggering $600 million. And get this, that's not a one-time bonus. That's every single year, just for changing his address. Wow. You see, the strategy here is just incredibly powerful. This move basically unlocks his ability to sell off billions of dollars in Amazon stock whenever he feels like it, without having to write a check to the state for hundreds of millions. It just completely changes the game for his financial flexibility. But believe it or not, the tax savings are only part of the equation. There's another, much quieter reason that makes Florida like a legal fortress for the super rich. It's a unique way to build a protective wall around your assets. It's a law called the homestead exemption. Now, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. It's designed to protect a regular person's home. So if you go through a personal bankruptcy, creditors can't take your primary residence. It's there to make sure you always have a roof over your head. But here's the kicker. This is the part that billionaires are really interested in. In most states, that protection is capped. You know, they'll only protect your home's value up to a certain amount. But in Florida, nope. The protection is completely, totally unlimited. So it doesn't matter if your home is worth $300,000 or $300 million, it is shielded. And this is just a fascinating legal loophole, isn't it? A law that was created to help the average person has now been adopted by the ultra-wealthy as one of the most powerful wealth preservation tools in the entire country. It literally turns these luxury mega mansions into financial fortresses. Okay, so you have the money, you have the legal protection, but there's a third piece of this puzzle, and it's the human element. Turns out billionaires kind of like hanging out with other billionaires. It's something called the clustering effect. The more super rich people move to an area, the more that area starts to build an entire infrastructure just for them. We're talking world-class marinas for their yachts, private jet terminals, super exclusive gated communities, and a business-friendly vibe that just rolls out the red carpet. It becomes a cycle that feeds itself. And you couldn't ask for a better example than Ken Griffin. He didn't just move himself to Miami. He moved his entire company, Citadel, all the way from Chicago. I mean, that is a massive vote of confidence. It's him signaling to the world that Florida isn't just a playground. It's on its way to becoming a global financial capital. So what does all of this actually mean for the state of Florida? This historic flood of money is totally reshaping the state's economy, its culture, its future. But is it all good news? To really wrap your head around the insane scale of what's happening, just look at what Ken Griffin is doing. He is reportedly tearing down 17 separate oceanfront homes just so he can build one single $1 billion estate. The amount of wealth being concentrated in one place is just, it's hard to even imagine. And he's not the only one. While Griffin's project is in a league of its own, Jeff Bezos has also snapped up over $200 million worth of property in one of those super exclusive Miami communities. These aren't just houses anymore, they are massive financial assets being parked in Florida real estate. So let's look at the two sides of this coin, right? On one hand, the upside is that Florida is turning itself into a global hub for wealth. That brings in top talent, it helps new startups, it boosts the whole state economy. But the downside is very real.
all this money floods the market, property values skyrocket, and local residents get squeezed. You start to see a real affordability crisis, and the state runs the risk of creating the same kind of urban problems you see in places like New York and San Francisco.
Which really brings us to the final big question. Florida's policies are clearly working. They're attracting the richest people in the world. But in doing so, are they building a new economic paradise for everyone? Or are they accidentally creating a future where the average person just can't afford to live there anymore? That right there is the billion-dollar question that Florida now has to figure out.